Joining me now is the first female Deputy Speaker of the Afghan government, that's Fawzia Koofi, who is also planning to stand for the presidency in 2014. Fawzia, welcome to you.
Thank you.
Tell us why, if you plan to stand for the presidency, why you want to do that and how difficult it will be.
It's very challenging for a woman to be a politician in Afghanistan, and yet to run for presidency, it's even more challenging. But I think Afghanistan has come a long way in terms of progress, especially for perspective change towards women. And certainly Afghan people need new leaders. And for us to make Afghanistan a country where it could be a reliable partner to the world, but not just a country where you send your troops and your money, it can be a potential partner to the world. We need to have change of leadership, and for that, I have decided to run.
Some people will be scratching their heads at home thinking, OK, maybe Afghanistan has evolved and changed a lot in the last 10 years, but the rights of women? I mean, we have the Taliban looking to open some kind of office in Qatar. A lot of people are suggesting that ultimately negotiation, some sort of negotiated settlement with the Taliban is necessary. How would a female president cope with the Taliban trying to run at least half of the country?
If I manage to win, I will certainly work with the world leaders like David Cameron and United States President, which were the main players in Afghan politics and also globally, to ensure that we, first of all, secure democracy in Afghanistan, because that's the key.
Taliban aren't really interested in democracy, are they?
Well, Taliban have their own condition. They have, they want Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. They want constitution to be Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan constitution, while majority of Afghan people would like to have a democratic state where they could raise their voices. And if we have a democracy, then everybody, civilian rights, including women rights, will be safeguarded. The concern we have right now in Afghanistan, and this is something, if I become the president, and even as a member of parliament, I would like to work with the world leaders, that the early withdrawal of your troops from Afghanistan could result in Afghanistan which will fall in the hands of extremism and terrorism again. And the security in Afghanistan is not only the security to Afghan, but to the world. And Afghanistan is different from some of these Arab countries. I know the priority in your capitals is the Arab Spring, Libya, others, is a priority for the world leaders. But I think if we once again forget Afghanistan, the consequences is going to be dangerous for the world security. So that's the message I would like to take to the world in my capacity as politician. But if I become a president, I would like to work with the world leaders so that they don't abandon Afghanistan once again.
But I want to be clear. You cannot consider under any circumstances negotiating with the Taliban. That would be unsurprising, by the way. They've tried quite hard to kill you, haven't they?
Well, negotiations and dialogue is something we need to have in the 21st century, but it's important that we are clear and we talk to Taliban from a position of power. Right now, the peace talk that has been, President Karzai initially initiated and then now being led by the United States in the Qatar office and etc. I think it's basically giving more political identity to Taliban because they have not changed. Many people talk about Taliban have changed their perspective on women education, on women rights, etc. We have not heard this from Taliban. I think it's important for Taliban to come forward. I have been working at community level on education, for instance, building school, etc. Right now, community in Afghanistan is different from what it was in the past. I mean, right now, families want to send their girls to school, and I don't think how much these families actually will welcome a Talibanized government. So we need to listen to the public, when it comes to talk with Taliban.
You unusually, for the time you were born and in the part of Afghanistan that you were born in, Badkhshan in the north, which is a pretty conservative, even by the standards of Afghanistan, a pretty conservative province. Unusually, you went to school. You were the 19th of 23 children. When you were born, because you were a girl, we read this in The Favoured Daughter, your excellent book, you were put outside to die because your mother was distraught that she hadn't delivered a boy for her husband who craved sons above all else. People will say the Taliban are merely a reflection of this brutalised, for many, many different reasons, and very, very conservative, socially conservative culture.
It's true that, as I put in my book, The Favoured Daughter, that I'm just a small example of the very hard life Afghan women have from the day they burn, the struggle they make. But my case is different because with all the troubles, with all the injustice and discrimination I have been through as a little child to go to school, and had to convince everybody and be to the standards of my brother to allow me to go to school. The only family member who could support me was my mother to allow me to go to school. Other members of the family was opposing a girl to go to school and even opposing a girl to come to politics. I was the first from my family to come to politics. I had to win an internal family election before I go to a national election. So this was challenging from the day I was born. But my case is different because I could now represent those unheard voices of women who was hard for them to send their girls to school. Now they can. Now they want to send their girls to school. I want to be, a kind of voice for them so that they don't suffer as much as I suffered. They don't go to that much life that I had. I think it's a matter of generation change. Now, when I was a child, it was hard for me to go to school. I had to convince my brothers, my sisters, everybody in the family to allow me. But now my daughters and other girls of Afghanistan, they want to choose to go to the best school. So I think change will happen if we have determination and strength.
You mentioned your brothers, you mentioned your daughters. I think I'm right in saying most of your brothers have been killed?
I lost 4 of my brothers.
4 of your brothers have been killed. You have 2 daughters.
Yes.
In your book, you talk about these letters that you write to your daughters because, quite frankly, your chances of surviving in the next decade are not as big as they could be. You've survived 2 serious assassination attempts. We have lots of politicians who sit in that chair and they profess sincerity, but you are prepared to give your life in pursuit of a political cause. Tell us, if you can, briefly why.
I think Afghanistan needs politicians who bring a change for betterment of Afghanistan. If that change, and if my contribution to that change result take me my life, that's worth it.
Fawzia Koofi, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Good to talk to you.